Well, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you and to thank Dr. Radwan Masmoudi and the Center for Study of Islam and Democracy for this opportunity to talk about the situation in Tunisia. As Dr. Radwan Masmoudi said, Tunisia is facing a real, very, very bad situation. In fact, there are two questions about Tunisia today. The first question is, where are we heading? You know, if the current situation would continue, what will be the output? And the answer is very easy. We are heading toward a real disaster. And the second question, of course, is what to do to prevent Tunisia, you know, to face this disaster. It's very difficult, you know, to say what's going to happen in the, let's say, in the next few months, because politicians are just like meteorologists, you know, they cannot foresee long term, but they can give some prediction about the near future. And unfortunately, when we analyze the political and the economic situation in Tunisia, you can be sure that we are heading to a real disaster, a real catastrophe. Why? Because Tunisia is facing three major crises at the same time. And these crises are deeply linked, and they are getting worse day by day. First, we have to understand first, before giving the treatment, as a doctor, I have always to be sure that the diagnosis is sure. So I have to say in words about the diagnosis, about the three major crises. The political crisis is mainly due to the fact that we have, I have always said that we have a man who is not fit for the job. A man with, I have always said as a doctor that he has real serious mental health problems. And I am extremely shocked by the fact that the people are not, they don't understand the fact. They're just like people, you know, looking at the sun at noon in a summer day and refusing to say that this is a sun. Because this is the problem. The problem is that we have a president that never talked to the opposition, never talked to anybody, never listened to anybody. He is just in his own world. He said himself that he's from another world, and I do believe that he's from another world. He's really deeply engulfed in his thoughts about sort of like a messiah, you know. He's seeing himself as somebody who's solved all the Tunisian problem with a new constitution, a new society, a new economy, etc. And this is what's completely, I would say, this is exactly what have destroyed Libya, because Libya have had this kind of leadership. And you know what happened to Libya. Libya has been completely destroyed because Gaddafi also thought that he is going, you know, to change the world, that he has a new thought that have never been that never existed before, etc., etc. So we have a president that clearly is unfit for the job, talking to nobody. I can assure you that during my presidency, and even during the presidency of President Bajika Sipsi, it was very, very common that the president is talking to the opposition all the time. I used to talk to the opposition all the time. Every Friday, I used to have the leader of the opposition around the lunch or dinner, and we used to talk, and a lot of problems have been solved because of this way of dealing of the political problem in a country, in a small country like us, or like ours, where everybody should talk to everybody. So this man is never talking to anybody, and he continues to pursue his chimerical projects of new social and political order only understand. But the most important thing is he's really totally cut off of the main concern of Tunisian. Oh, today, Tunisian, I can assure you, today, this morning, the Tunisian are running after gas, running after some food stuff like sugar, like milk, etc., etc. And what's the main problem for this man? Is the new election. of our parliament. Everybody knows that this parliament will have no power at all, and Tunisians are totally disinterested, that have no interest in this election, but our president is only interested in things that do not interest any Tunisian. So this is part of the political crisis, but the political crisis has also another side. It's the opposition. The opposition is weak, and the opposition has no credibility, mainly because this divided between people working with Islamists, people against Islamists. As the main problem of Tunisia now is, are you with another or are you against another? The problem should be, are you with the coup or are you against the coup? But because of the divided and the weakness of the opposition, I am afraid that the Tunisian people doesn't see an alternative. You know, when you want to change things, you have to have an alternative. If you don't have an alternative, you can just say, okay, let's wait. And the political crisis is not only the crisis of the system, it's also the crisis of the opposition. And now the problem is that in spite of this situation, the population itself, engulfed in the difficulties of daily life, doesn't seem to be ready, you know, to a new revolution. Maybe because they are afraid of chaos. Maybe people are afraid of, you know, having once again the same people, the government, etc. But now the political crisis is that we have the weakness of the power, the weakness of the opposition, and the weakness of the population, which is not taken to the street for the moment, or sometimes from time to time, and not very efficiently. So in such situation, history shows that the society goes through a phase of implosion, where social bonds deteriorate and where you have anger and frustration in hearts and mind. And then after this period of implosion, you will have always explosion. This is what's going to happen. Tunisia is like a volcano, you know, the pressure is going on and on and on, and then you will have the explosion. And this explosion could be a very violent explosion, and we could unfortunately have to face a new chapter of Tunisian history that we have always tried to avoid, which means change by force and by violence. The problem also that this political crisis is deeply linked with the economic crisis. Of course, we suffer in Tunisia because of the war in Ukraine. Of course, there are external factors, but the most important fact is Tunisia is suffering from, you know, a poor and deteriorating economy, and this since the revolution. Because the main problem of the economy of Tunisia is that we have had from the revolution up to now a continuous political instability. Imagine that under my presidency there were 3 governments, under the presidency of Beji Qaissi 3 other governments, and now we have also 3 other governments, which means that we have had 9 governments in 11 years, which means that every government would last just 1 year. No government can tackle the real problem, the structural problem of the economy, or any social problem, other social problems, when it can last just one year. And the economy suffers political instability. And this man, this president, this putschist president, has increased the political instability, because for the moment, nobody knows exactly what would happen. And of course, in those circumstances, foreign investors or even internal investors will say, no, I'm not, it's the situation is too unstable, let's wait. And this is why the economy is at standstill, and this is why the economy is getting, the economic situation is getting worse and worse every day. Then came, of course, the crisis of Ukraine, which aggravates the situation. Just a word about the social and psychological crisis, which is not addressed by many people. People would talk only about political crisis or economic crisis. For me, the most important crisis is the psychological crisis and the moral crisis. Tunisians are all today depressed. They don't see they don't have any hope. They believe that the worst is to come. And a lot of Tunisians now are fleeing the country by illegal or illegal means. And it's heartbreaking to see our youth, leaving the country by all means, because they don't believe that Tunisia is no longer a country that where can they live and where can they raise their children, etc. So this is why I do believe that we are heading to a disaster. If here we have to do something to avoid the disaster. Now the question is, what should be done, and then how we can achieve the objective. What should be done is, for me, clear. It's it's the end of the coup. It's the end of the dictatorship. That this guy, this putschist president, must be removed, because believing that we can have a kind of dialogue with this man for political reform or political transition is completely, forget about it. Because of his poor mental health status, this man would never discuss anything. And to discuss with him about what kind of discussion should we have? What kind of dialogue? Do you think that this guy would accept, to come back to the situation before the coup? Of course, he always said that no way to come back to the former situation. While we do know that the only way to solve the political problem is to come back to the before the coup of 2021. So it's the responsibility of everybody, to remove this man from office, because this is the only way, to be able to solve the political problem. What I'm trying to say, that it's the responsibility of everybody, to put an end to the coup and to restore the democracy and to come back to the situation before 2021, even if it was not a very good situation, but it was much better than what we are living today. So you have the responsibility. You have three levels of responsibility, to achieve this objective. The first level is, it's the responsibility of Tunisians themselves. It's the responsibility mainly of the youth, to understand that no future, can be hoped or achieved if they don't move, if they don't take to the street, if they don't do what the Algerian youth did. And here we have the example of the Algerian, during the Hirak of 2019. Remember that the Algerian people took to the street 52 weeks. And this was something extraordinary for me, because at the time, everybody was saying, the Arab Spring is over. And I said, no, the Arab Spring is just at the beginning of the beginning. Look what happened in Algeria. The Algerian the good example of the people, the whole people taking to the street to get rid of a sick and incapable president, which is the case exactly of Qais Said. He's sick and he's incapable to reach to lead the country. Of course, people would say, hey, but of course, the Algerian president, Bouteflika, gone. In fact, he was replaced by another man from the same system. Okay, that's true. But even, if we can replace this man by another man from the system, it will be much better, because we will have somebody who probably sane, and then with him we can talk, and we can achieve a kind of agreement or kind of consensus, which is totally impossible now with this man. So the first level of responsibility, the responsibility of the youth, of the people. And I know that the opposition has called for a demonstration in I think next Saturday, the 15th. And I called all the Tunisian youth, to take to the street and to begin what I call a democratic and peaceful resistance to the coup. We have to do it. It's not a matter of just go to the demonstration once every 3 months, like actually the situation. It's to go to take to the street every week until the coup is ended. This is the only way to do it. It's the way that the Algerian shows it, and I think it was the best thing. Now, the second level of the responsibility is I would say, the level of the state official. I do believe that people within the state, I'm not talking about the deep state, I am talking about the official, the state, the Tunisian state. They understand, they do know that this man is the most destructive forces against the Tunisian state. He is destroying the Tunisian state. He has destroyed the constitution. He has destroyed all the independent bodies like all the independent commission for justice, independent commission against corruption, independent commission for the judiciary, etc. This guy has destroyed all the structure of democratic society, and now he is destroying the parliament that he is trying, to set up. Is of course, it's a parody of parliament. This man is destroying the state, and it is the responsibility of all the officials Tunisian, to defend the state, because without the state, with the corrupt and destroy the state, it will be the chaos in our country. We have to defend the state, and this is why I asked the military, the military to solve the problem, because if they don't solve the problem now, they could be, I say, it could be in very soon in a situation where probably they would have to confront the population. And I know that our army has never confronted the population. So if we don't, if the military and not only the military, but all the structure of the state do not want Tunisia to face a new chaos or new outbursts of violence, there is no way. This man must be removed as soon as possible. And once again, I am not asking for a military coup, because what I say is that this man has to be removed, and immediately we have to go back to the people with free elections under the constitution of 2014, of course, so Tunisia could, as soon as possible, restore the state, have a healthy man at the head of the state, stop this, this fantasy, something incredible, to what's happening in Tunisia today. So this is the responsibility of the military, it's the responsibility of the police, it's the responsibility of the judiciary, it's the responsibility of the administration, it's the responsibility of all the state officials, because once again, we have to defend the state, because the state is in danger, and the state is attacked by this man who has sworn to destroy our state. And if our state is destroyed, we will face the situation in Lebanon, and then the Tunisia would face really dire situation. So the first level of responsibility is the responsibility of the youth to take to the street, the responsibility of the state official, and the responsibility, of course, to the opposition. The opposition must unite, must give to the country a new alternative. They must stop this divided between pro-Islamist and against Islamists. The divided in Tunisia has been and it remains between those for the democracy and those against democracy, those for the coup and those against the coup. This is the real divide. All other divide is artificial, and it's a way to lose our time, it's to lose our effort, etc. Now I'll finish by the third level, the responsibility of our friends and all the international donors. So it happens that I'm now here in the United States, in Boston, and I have to answer the question, to say some words about the position of the government of the United States to the world coup. I deeply regret that the Biden administration didn't recognize the coup as a coup, because it is a coup. And I know they don't want to recognize the coup as a coup, probably because, let's say, because under the American law, they would have to cut any kind of, of help to the Tunisian government, etc. But it is a coup. It is a coup. And fortunately, the African Court of Human Rights has recognized the coup as a coup. And I do believe that it's up to our friends, democratic states, to accept that Tunisia is now victim of a coup and that we are going back to a dictatorship. And here it happened that sometimes I say, look, the United States or the Western countries, they have always supported our dictatorship, mainly in the Middle East. And now look what's happening. Look at what's happening. The Emirati regime, the Saudi regime, the Egyptian regime, now they are supporting, during this war, they are supporting Russia. And they are spreading they are fighting for the Chinese and the Russian models. So I don't understand, really, I don't understand how can the United States or Western country, because of this fear of instability, they would support countries supporting, the most important danger for me for the West, which is the Chinese model, the spreading of the Chinese model and the Russian model in the Arab world and in Africa. So, but don't misunderstand me. I'm not asking for any kind of intervention because once again, I know that democracy cannot be imported, democracy cannot be exported. Democracy is an internal matter of a society. If we don't reach by ourselves democracy, forget about it. Look at what happened in Iraq. It was a real catastrophe. I'm not asking for the intervention of the Americans or the European in our internal affairs. It's our duty, it's our job, to move and to establish a real democracy in our country. But it's the duty of our friends, to help us only by not supporting the dictatorship. That's all what we are asking for. Now, I will end with the last question, which is the international donors, the role of the international donors, especially the International Monetary Fund. You know that it's in final stage of negotiation, a loan of $4 million to the Tunisian regime. Of course, I want this money, to go to Tunisia because I hope and I believe that it could alleviate the suffering of the ordinary Tunisian. This is why I totally support this loan. Just because I hope, I believe that it can be useful for that's a small part of the Tunisian population. But it's also important to know that this money will be used to prolong the agony of the regime. It will help this regime, which is once again the threat against our democracy, a threat against our economic development. It will help him to survive. I don't know, maybe 1 year, 2 years, I don't know, but it will help him to survive. So the situation is extremely difficult because on one hand, we have to support this loan because it will help. Some part of the money would help part of the Tunisian people, and I am interested in alleviating the suffering of my fellow citizens. But at the same time, I know that unfortunately this money would lead to to help the bureaucracy of the dictatorship to thrive. So this is why I say if condition must to be put on this loan, it's mainly about being sure that the money will go to will help to create jobs or would help to to go to the poorest part of the population and not to the bureaucracy. Because I don't believe that this guy would accept any political condition. I'm sure that he would accept the Tunisian to starve instead of changing his policies. So the only condition that should be put is where this money is going, to be sure that this money is not going to the bureaucracy of the dictatorship, but to the needy people. So I'm going to end because time is running out. So Well, despite all this difficulty, but despite all this problem, I do believe that Tunisian can get out of this very difficult situation. I remember that in December 2011, we were all desperate. We were all saying that Tunisia is lost forever. And then we have had the Arab Spring. We have had this 3 years of hope of of building a new society, a new democratic state. Unfortunately, we have had the counter-revolution, and we have this historical accident, then having this man as president. But I still believe that we can get to. I still believe that Tunisian has resources, moral and psychological resources, men and women that can realize a good future for Tunisia. So, in fact, what to expect? Life has taught me that the future never brings what we fear the most or what we hope for the most, but we surprises us the most. So maybe we are going to have surprises very soon. I don't know what kind of surprises. They could be good surprises. They could be also bad surprises. All we have to do is to be ready. We have to react to both good and bad and good surprises, while working, of course, to ensure the good surprises outweigh the bad surprises. So, تحية تونس. Thank you so much.